Another very important thing to work on is arpeggios. I found them to be very helpful to me when I wanted to get through difficult chord progressions. I think the most obvious way to outline a chord is to play the notes of that chord. Eventually, the scales kind of become incidental to me. They're not even the most important thing. I think it's important to map out the scales, but it's also very important to map out the arpeggios on the guitar, because that's the part that it's gotten to me after playing for so long. I don't even really think of the scale anymore. I mostly think of just the notes of the chord. So I've come up with some ideas to do against an arpeggio. What I do is I first of all map out the arpeggio on the guitar. I'll play G major again. Since we've been in the land of G for a while, we'll stay there. Come up with your own fingerings. There's so many possible ways of doing it. Come up with ones that are comfortable for you. And again, it's not important that you can fly through them so fast that you can't hear them. I mean, I think it's very important that you just know where they are on the instrument. That when you look at that guitar, you can see the entire key of G in your mind. And then when it goes to another key, you can see that key in your mind. You know, to be able to improvise well, you have to be able to think that way very quickly. You have to be able to respond to that key change at an instant. You know, in the middle of a phrase, you have to be able to make those chords happen. And in order to do that, I think it's really important that you map out all this stuff on the guitar. Any instrument that you play, if you're a piano player or whatever, be able to play the arpeggios and the scales in all 12 keys. So come up with some ways to play arpeggios on a guitar, on the key of G. Right? Let's see. I'm just coming up with them as I go. You can play them like this, where you play the same thing up in 3 octaves. That's just like going a different fingering for that. Let's see. Here, there's a whole bunch of weird fingerings for it. God, there's so many of them. So after you do that, figure out as many possible ways as you can do it. As you know, on the guitar, the strange thing about guitar is that you can play the same thing in so many different places. I mean, you can play C here. I mean, that same note, you know, you can play in so many different places on the guitar. You know, the same thing all in a whole bunch of different places on the guitar, right? So come up with do that again. That's it. Can't do it anymore. So anyway, after you do that, then what I do is work on my Mozart licks, or playing the half step below each one of the notes of that chord. So I'm going to what you could call an approach note, or a neighbor note, lower neighbor or something. There's different classical terms for it. But basically what we're doing is we're approaching each note of that arpeggio by a half step below. And what you end up doing is coming up with melodic ideas as opposed to playing a scale, right? It's a way of treating the chord, or a way of approaching the chord. So what I'm going to do is approach each note of that arpeggio by a half step below. Right? Go through the 1, 4, and 5 chord of that key doing that. Right? Now I'm playing over chord changes, right? You can hear the chord changing as I go, right? There's different ways of doing that. I could approach each note of that chord by 2 half steps below. Right? I can approach it by, I could do triplets, you know, or groups of 3. Okay, I played this arpeggio. I could go scale tone above, half step below, and then the note of the chord. Or I could go, you know, that's in groups of 3. Groups of 3. I could go. That comes a triplet. Or I can do it in groups of 4. Or I could take that same note and make it 8ths grouped in 3, you know. Here's my beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, or if I'm doing triplets, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And think of different ways to subdivide that in your head. I could go like this. Right? I can do grouped in 6. That tune, take a look at it now, that we played earlier, and Chet Atkins just recorded that song, and that has that same lick in there, but we played it in the minor key. So let me think here. There's a whole bunch of them. I guess I could do that lick this way. Like that. Or I could go scale tone above, half step down, then a half step below, and then the chord tone. So it would be. I'll see. So you can still hear that happening the whole time. Right, triple.